Hello friends, welcome all of you. In last lecture, we have seen that Young's double slit experiment, that is geometrical method, conditions for bright and dark bands, expression for the bandwidth. In this lecture, we are going to start the next points in this lecture. They are intensity distribution, methods for obtaining the coherent sources by using Lloyd's mirror and biprism experiment, and the optical path. Let us see the intensity distribution. We have seen the diagram in last lecture. It consists of two sources, that is S1 and S2 are the two coherent sources separated by this distance small d from each other. Source and screen are placed at a distance capital D from each other. Here P is any point on the screen placed at a distance y from the central band. Point P, it may be bright, it may be dark, depends upon the path difference. If the path difference at point P is equal to n lambda, then the point P becomes bright point, and the intensity at the bright point is maximum. If the path difference is equal to 2n minus 1 into lambda by 2, then the point P becomes dark point, and at a dark point intensity is minimum. From figure, here S1 and S2 are separated by the distance small d. The equations for the waves emitting from the two sources is given by relation E1 is equal to E0 sin omega t and E2 is equal to E0 sin omega t plus phi. Suppose these are the equations 1 and 2 respectively. Here phi is the phase angle between the two sources, that is S1 and S2. The resultant electric field at point P can be obtained by adding the two equations, that is equation 1 and 2. We get E is equal to E1 plus E2, which is equal to E0 sin omega t plus E0 sin omega t plus phi. Suppose equation number 3. Simplifying this equation, we get E is equal to twice E0 cos phi by 2 into sin omega t plus phi by 2. Here 2 E0 cos phi by 2 is called the resultant amplitude. We know that nature of light is a wave, and this is the amplitude of the wave. This is the maximum displacement from the mean position called the amplitude. And amplitude is maximum, intensity also maximum, because intensity directly proportional to the square of amplitude. Intensity at any point is directly proportional to the square of amplitude. If I0 is the intensity at point P, then I0 directly proportional to the twice E0 cos phi by 2 bracket square. Also I0 is equal to 4 E0 cos square phi by 2. Suppose this equation number 4. This relation obtained by using this, because we have seen this relation in last lecture, that is intensity is directly proportional to the square of amplitude. Means if amplitude becomes maximum, intensity also maximum, and point P observed on the screen is the bright point. If amplitude is minimum, then intensity also minimum, and due to this we observe the dark point on the screen. As the amplitudes of the two waves, say E1 and E2, are different, therefore at the center of bright fringes the amplitudes E1 plus E2. Therefore intensity directly proportional to E1 plus E2 bracket square, and at the center of a dark fringes amplitude is equal to E1 minus E2. Here intensity not equal to 0. Therefore the intensity directly proportional to E1 minus E2 bracket square. Thus intensity is maximum at a bright point and the intensity is minimum at dark point. Let us see the methods for obtaining the coherent sources. Let us see the first method, that is Lloyd's mirror. Coherent means the phase difference either 0 or constant. Lloyd's used the plane mirror to obtain the two coherent sources. The plane mirror is placed shown in a figure, and this is the primary source placed here. Let the light from the source is made to fall on the plane at a grazing angle. Grazing angle means the glancing angle as shown in figure. Here the glancing angle means the angle between the incident ray and the surface. Light is incident on the plane surface at a grazing angle, and due to the plane mirror the light gets reflected. Some of the light falls directly on the screen shown in figure. Here some light directly falls on the screen, and some light falls on the screen after reflection from the mirror. The reflected light appears to come from the two virtual sources. The reflected light appears to come from the two virtual sources shown in a figure. So we get two sources. They are derived from the single source, and hence they are coherent. The interfere and interference pattern is observed on the screen, which consists of alternate bright and dark bands. In this way, we can obtain the two coherent sources by using Lloyd's mirror. Then consider the second method to obtain the coherent sources, which is the biprism. Let us see the apparatus for the biprism. It consists of, this is the original source whose wavelength is to be measured. Here the force stands, and in this force stand, here slit is fixed in this stand, biprism is fixed in this stand, lens is fixed, and in this force stand the eyepiece is fixed. The experimental arrangement for the biprism is shown in a figure. This is the source whose wavelength is to be measured, and the four stands are fixed on the optical bench. They are of the same height. This is the eyepiece. We observe the interference pattern through the eyepiece, which consists of alternate bright and dark bands. Let us see the ray diagram for the biprism. It consists of the two sources S1 and S2, separated by the distance small d from each other, and distance d, capital D, is the distance between the source and screen. We observe the interference pattern on the screen by using the eyepiece. Here, the biprism is used to produce the two coherent sources. It consists of two right-angled prisms. 1, 2. This is the two right-angled prism placed base to base, such that its refracting angle is 179 degree or nearly equal to 180 degree, and the other two angles, that is these two angles, are about the 0.5 degree. The four stands, that is S, B, L, E, S for slit, B for biprism, L for lens, and E for eyepiece, are fitted to the optical bench. They are at the same height. To obtain the interference pattern on screen, there are some adjustments. Make slit narrow, and illuminate it by the monochromatic source whose wavelength is to be determined. Then slowly rotate the biprism so that its refracting edge, this is the refracting edge, becomes parallel to the slit. The refracting rays through the biprism, this is the refracting rays through the biprism, will just appear to originate from the two sources S1 and S2 of a slit S. The interference pattern is observed on the screen, which consists of alternate bright and dark bands. The apparatus we have seen. This is the apparatus to measure the wavelength of the monochromatic source by using biprism. Here, the simple method to obtain the coherent sources by using the Fresnel biprism is: the biprism is an optical instrument used to produce the two coherent sources. By using biprism experiment, we can determine the wavelength of a monochromatic source. When monochromatic light is allowed to fall allowed to pass on the source S or the slit S, the two halves of the biprism, that is two parts of the biprism forms the two virtual images, that is S1 and S2, and these two are called the coherent sources. In this way we can obtain the two coherent sources by using the Fresnel biprism. Then the concept of optical path. Let us see the general example. Suppose the two men are moving or running from the track. Suppose A is running in this track and B is running. Both are running parallelly. Here both have same capacity. Up to this distance they runs at the same time, but after this time the B in front of B there is some disturbance in his path, so he requires more time to cover this distance. Suppose this distance is D, and during the same time the person A covers the distance D dash, covers the some distance say D dash. Means due to this, here no any disturbance in path of man A, so he covers more distance, and the destination point for the both are this. So here the more path covered by the person A, and the difference between the two paths, that is path difference, is equal to D dash minus D. If there is no any disturbance in path of B, it may cover the same distance as that of the distance D dash, that is distance covered by the A, that is person A. So this is the optical path. D dash is the optical path of D. Suppose if we replace the two persons by the light rays, then it is observed that the light rays travels with velocity c. At the same time they both reaches at this point, but after some time if we place any obstacle, any disturbance in its path, then it requires more time to pass this obstacle. So suppose it requires the distance d to cover the obstacle, that is path through the glass slab having the refractive index n. If n is the refractive index of the glass, then its velocity of the ray to pass through the glass slab is given by V is equal to C upon n, because the refractive index is the ratio of velocity of light in vacuum divided by velocity of light in medium. So the velocity of light in medium V is equal to C upon n. Here distance d covered by the ray B. If there is no any obstacle in the path of B, then the ray B also covers the same path as that of the A. Ray B reaches at this position during the same time because of there is no any disturbance in the path of A. It covers the distance. Let the distance is D dash. So the D dash is the optical path of D, because if there is no any disturbance, the ray B also covers the same distance as that of A. So here path difference occurs, that is the difference between the path of the two rays. Path difference is equal to D dash minus D. The time taken by the light to cover a distance D in a glass. T is equal to D whole divided by C by N, that is time is equal to distance divided by the velocity. The distance covered by the light ray A in the same time, that is a distance D dash is equal to velocity C into T, that is time d divided by c upon n. Therefore, d dash is equal to n into d, because here c gets cancelled. We get d dash is equal to n into d, because here velocity is nothing but the distance upon time. The path difference is given by relation which is equal to delta d, means d dash minus d. This is the delta d. D dash minus d means the path difference, which is equal to delta d, is equal to nd minus d. D dash is equal to nd. If we put the value of d dash, nd minus d is equal to d in bracket n minus 1, and there occurs phase difference also, and the phase difference is given by relation 2 pi upon lambda into the path difference. Therefore, delta phi is equal to 2 pi divided by lambda into the path difference, that is delta d. The path difference in our syllabus discussed is: consider the light wave traveling in a vacuum having angular frequency omega and a wave vector k traveling along the x direction. The phase difference observed is kx minus omega t. Here k and omega are related quantities. So we know that the wave vector k is given by, which is equal to 2 pi divided by lambda, as v is equal to n lambda, then lambda is equal to v upon n. Putting the value of lambda in this equation, we get k is equal to 2 pi whole divided by v upon n. Therefore, k is equal to 2 pi n upon v, which is equal to the value of 2 pi n, which is equal to omega. So k is equal to omega divided by v. Here v is the speed of wave in any medium. Consider the two cases: light travels through vacuum and light travels through medium. Let us consider light travels through vacuum. Let k is equal to omega upon v. We have seen here the value of k is equal to omega divided by v. Suppose equation number 1. If light travels through a distance delta x, its phase changes and is denoted by delta phi. Therefore, delta phi is equal to k into delta x. Putting the value of k, we get value of k is omega divided by v into here delta x. Therefore, delta phi is equal to omega into delta x divided by v. If wave travels in a vacuum, then delta phi is equal to omega into delta x divided by c. Here v is replaced by c because light travels in a vacuum. C is the velocity of light in a vacuum. Consider the light travels through the medium having refractive index n and a wave vector say k dash. Therefore, k dash is equal to omega divided by v. Suppose equation number 3, which is equal to omega divided by the value of v is equal to c by n, because n is equal to c by v. Therefore, v is equal to c upon n. Therefore, k dash is equal to omega n divided by c. Now, this wave travels distance which is equal to delta x. We observe the phase difference is given by delta phi dash. Therefore, delta phi dash is equal to k dash into delta x. Therefore, delta phi dash is equal to omega n into delta x divided by c, because value of k dash is omega n upon c. Therefore, omega n upon c is the k dash into delta x. Suppose this equation number 4. If we put n into delta x is equal to delta x dash, then we get delta x dash delta phi dash is equal to omega into delta x dash divided by c. This is equation. This is the change in phase difference is equal to omega into delta x dash upon c. Thus, when wave travels a distance delta x through any medium having refractive index n, its path changes by the same amount as a wave traveled a distance n into delta x in a vacuum. So, n into delta x is called as the optical path. The definition for the optical path is the effective path traveled by the light in a vacuum to generate the same phase difference. In vacuum, the optical path means the actual path traveled. that is delta x dash is equal to n into delta x. If n is equal to 1, we get delta x dash is equal to delta x. Again, optical path can also be defined as this is the corresponding path in a vacuum. Delta x dash is the optical path is also defined as the corresponding path in a vacuum that light travels in the same time as it takes in a given medium. We know that the velocity is equal to distance upon time. Velocity also called speed, therefore speed is equal to distance upon time. Therefore time is equal to distance divided by the speed, that is t is equal to dm divided by vm, which is equal to dv divided by vv. So this equation can be written dm upon vm is equal to dv divided by vv. If we take cross multiplication, we get dm into vv is equal to vm into dv. dm means the distance in a medium and vm means velocity in medium. dv is the distance in vacuum, vv is the velocity in vacuum. Then we get dv is equal to vv upon vm into delta m. This is the ratio of the velocities called the refractive index. If we put value of the ratio of the velocity is equal to n, then we get delta v is equal to n into delta m. Here dm and vm are the distance and speed in a medium, and dv and vv is the distance and speed in the vacuum. Thus, the distance d travelled in a medium of a refractive index n gives the path difference. That is, path difference is equal to nd minus d is equal to d in bracket n minus 1 over a ray travelling a equal distance through the vacuum. This equation we have seen. Two waves interfere constructively when optical path length of one wave is equal to the optical path length of the other wave, or the optical path lengths are differ by the integral multiple of the wavelength. If we put the transparent glass plate having refractive index n and the thickness t in front of the source S1, then here we have put the glass plate in front of the source S1. So the light rays started from S1 takes more time to reach at point P. The optical path traveled by the wave along S1P in presence of a glass plate is greater than the optical path traveled by the wave along S1P in absence of the glass plate. Means if we put the optical glass plate, any disturbance in the path of the ray, it takes the more time to reach the destination point, that is point P on the screen. The optical path length and the phase of a ray reaching at point O dash from S1. The optical path length and the phase of a ray reaching from S1 to O dash is not equal to the optical path length and the phase of a ray reaching at a point O dash from the S2. Means these two are not equal because we have put some disturbance in the path of a ray S1. As the optical path length and phase of a ray reaching at a point O dash from the source S1 is not equal to the optical path length and phase of a ray reaching at a point O from the source S2, the bright point is not observed at a point O. Means these distances are not same, so we cannot observe the bright point at O dash. The path length will be equal at any point other than point O. The path lengths will be equal at any point other than the point O dash. Therefore, bright fringe is observed at a different point where the two path lengths are equal. The bright and dark fringes are observed symmetrically on the both sides of the central fringe. So the interference pattern will be shifted in one direction. Here we cannot observe the bright point here because the optical path length and phase is from S1 to O is not equal to the optical path length and phase from S2 to O. So we cannot observe the bright point at point O dash. So the path length will be equal at any point other than the point O dash. Therefore, bright fringe is observed at a different point where the two path lengths, that is this and this, two path lengths are equal. The bright and dark fringes are observed symmetrically on the both sides of the central fringe. So, due to this, the interference will be shifted in one direction.